He wanted to become a symbol, a myth, but this made him a human again. What if I told you Joker wasn't Batman's biggest enemy, or Bane, or even Ra's al Ghul? What if one thing that truly broke Batman was love? In the Nolan trilogy, Batman doesn't die, the symbol does, and that death doesn't come from violence. It came from emotion. In Batman Begins, Batman had no desire for peace. His only mission was to become a symbol of justice and fight crime in Gotham. He himself tells Alfred, "As a man, I can be destroyed, but as a symbol, I can be incorruptible." This is the purest version of Batman we see in the trilogy. He's purely driven by his mission to fight crime. Falcone is running the crime underworld in Gotham, and Batman completely shakes everything up. He puts Falcone behind bars on his first night, and that's when Batman is born. All of this while his love for Rachel is in the background, waiting to emerge eventually. In Batman Begins, Rachel keeps Bruce tethered to his old self, the boy who lost his parents, who only wants justice for what happened to him, but also for Gotham. But Batman isn't meant to be tethered. He's meant to be unleashed on the criminal underworld. And Rachel becomes the line between Bruce's past and his future. And that future is Batman, with the mission to fight crime and bring justice to Gotham. And he never truly let go of her. In Dark Knight, Bruce starts to look for a way to retire, not because Gotham is saved, but because he wants to be with Rachel. And who better to help him do that? Rachel's boyfriend, Harvey Dent. Harvey becomes Gotham's White Knight, and Bruce sees him as his successor. If Harvey cleans up Gotham, then Batman can retire, and Bruce and Rachel can be together happily ever after. Bruce's mission goes from fighting crime to finding a successor, a savior who can help him retire. And are we going to forget that Bruce and Rachel kissed on a balcony in his penthouse while Harvey was in love with her and had proposed to her? She cheated on Harvey despite all those things. My man Harvey deserved better, by the way. And what makes this worse is that Rachel doesn't believe that Bruce will ever give up Batman. She doesn't believe that Bruce will leave Batman behind and live as Bruce Wayne. Meanwhile, Bruce is actively looking for a way to retire Batman so he can be with her. And this is when the collision happens. When Joker kills Rachel, that mentally destroys Harvey, turns him into Two-Face, and Gotham's White Knight is dead. He becomes corrupted. Then Harvey starts to seek vengeance for Rachel's death and wants to punish anyone who was responsible for his and Rachel's downfall. This eventually leads him to kidnapping Gordon's family, and Batman has no choice but kill him. But Batman takes blame for Harvey's death as a way to maintain Harvey's White Knight image. Then he finally quits and retires for 8 years, which is, by the way, longer than his training, which was 7 years. He spent 7 years training to become a symbol so he can inspire people in Gotham and take the city back for people and destroy crime, just to retire for 8 years because his love interest died. But when he returns in Dark Knight Rises, he doesn't act the same. He feels hollow. Compare that to how he moves in Batman Begins. The way he moves, silent, agile, brutal. Every strike is purposeful. Every line is cold, calculated. He fights like a ghost in the shadows. But in Dark Knight Rises, he's clunky. He constantly grunts. He limps. Of course, because he broke his leg. That makes sense. But he makes mistakes. He loses to Bane in a straight-up brawl. This isn't just physical decay. It's symbolic. He's no longer the symbol who invoked fear in criminals. He's just a man in a suit. He looks and acts like a man who's wearing that suit like a burden, not a symbol to carry out his mission, inspire people, and honor his parents. Even Alfred tells him that he retired but never moved on. And that's because he couldn't. How could he move on when all he was doing was living for Rachel and not his mission? She became his why, not his mission. And that was the problem. The moment he pinned his future to Rachel was the moment he lost conviction and his mission became conditional. Batman and Batman Begins had no room for love. He was a myth, an unstoppable force. But in the sequels, he slowly starts to look for an excuse to quit. And the moment you look for a reason to abandon your mission, it's no longer a true mission. And that goes against Batman's character. In the comics, Batman never lets love come between him and his mission. There is a reason why Batman in the comics surpasses every version of himself. Because no matter what, he never abandons the mission. He can love and care, but he never stops fighting for Gotham because of Selina, Talia, or anyone else. Alfred has been dead in the mainline comics of Batman for a few years now. That didn't stop Batman from fighting crime and continuing his mission. He even became bankrupt. He lost all his money. That didn't stop him. Take Dark Knight Returns too, which Dark Knight Rises takes inspiration from. Batman retired for a decade in that comic because of Jason Todd's death. But what's also important to mention is that he had to retire because vigilantes were outlawed in that universe. The world didn't want them anymore. If you've read the comic or watched the animated movie, you see that Superman is the only active hero. That's because he obeys the government. He's a puppet of the government. Batman, on the other hand, no. He doesn't obey anyone. He disobeys everyone. And he was one of the reasons that they outlawed vigilantes. So he had to retire because of necessity. And of course, Jason's death haunts him, but that was never the main reason he really retired. He had to retire even though he was demoralized because of Jason's death. Nolan, on the other hand, gave us a version that can stop, and he did stop. And even though he stopped, his myth never lived on, really. But in Dark Knight Returns, Batman's myth lives on, even though 10 years have passed. The younger generation thinks that he never existed. They think that he was just a myth. Now look, there's going to be people who say that Batman deserves happiness. And I kind of agree to some extent. He gets that at the end of Dark Knight Rises. He's in Florence with Selina, and Alfred smiles at him across the tables like he had envisioned. What I would say is, Batman shouldn't retire when he's in his 30s, when he's in his prime. And usually when he does retire, even when he's older, it doesn't end well for him. He's either lonely and miserable, or he gets pulled back into being Batman. Take Batman Beyond. Batman retires out of necessity because he has heart problems, and Terry becomes his new successor. He trains Terry becomes Batman Beyond, but before Terry showed up, Bruce had pushed everyone away. Every love interest he had, even the Bat family, they all distanced themselves from him. And there are also instances where Batman had to retire momentarily because he had to. In the Nightfall comics, Bane breaks Batman's back, and Jean Paul Valley has become the new Batman for a while. But Dark Knight Returns too, which I already mentioned. He retires, gets pulled back into being Batman again. Or Kingdom Come. I already mentioned that Batman, even when he retires, he still keeps fighting crime. He finds a way to carry out his mission. In Kingdom Come, Batman is still Batman. He has this advanced suit that he fights in when he's all crippled and can't even move anymore. And eventually he creates these bat robots that look over Gotham and fight crime. Just like the Sons of Batman do, but in robotic form. These movies are still phenomenal and timeless. However, I do think Batman's character took a hit in the sequels. Those were my thoughts. Let me know what you think.